Hello and welcome to the Net Report Playoff Edition, officially Conference Final Edition. Dun
Yep.
dun dun. Well, we're gonna start off in the Wild Wild West, where the Denver Nuggets will not be repeating as NBA
Nope.
champions, as they got dethroned by the small market Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 7. The Nuggets had home court, and it didn't matter
Nope.
because they
Not at
got
all.
out executed by the Timberwolves. And now the Timberwolves are going to go on to face the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals, which obviously we all saw coming. Chris, what are your just very basic thoughts about this series as we go into the next couple days?
Yeah, I mean, this Western Conference Final Series, even before the playoffs, but let alone if you asked anyone at the start of the season, nobody would have told you Dallas Mavericks versus Minnesota Timberwolves. If someone had that on their bingo card, they need to be tested because they probably were looking into the future or something, but I didn't expect Denver to lose like that, especially in Game 7, but wow, that Minnesota defense was insane. Absolutely insane. And
Yeah, they kind of they got Denver
mhm,
to
it re-
themselves.
in
Like
that second half
that
of Game 7, it really felt like Jokic versus the world.
Yeah, like it felt like they just got out Denvered. Jamal Murray was a straight up no show. Michael Porter Jr. kind of a no show.
Mhm,
And everyone on the Timberwolves was not a no show. I know the box scores show that Ant Edwards shot terribly. He did, but he made hustle plays and he was
mhm,
doing other things on the court to help them win that game. Huge credit goes out to Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, and Cat. Just that three-headed
mhm.
monster of a front court. Whew, they looked nasty in that game. All series, really, but man, you go up 2-0, and then all of a sudden you're down 3-2. Gotta win one on the road. Hands up. I totally counted out the Timberwolves. I counted them out before the season started. I counted them out when the playoffs started. I counted that before this series started. I counted them out when they were down 3-2. I counted them out when they were tied 3-3.
I remember a certain someone on our last video saying there's a 0% chance they win Game 7 on the road. Care to comment on that one?
Anyways,
When the,
Mavs cleaned stuff up on when they had home court when the Thunder came to town, winning that series in 6, and now they are going to have to travel on the road for 4 of 7 games against the Timberwolves. Just very basically, Chris, who you got?
this one's a tough matchup. It really comes down to, honestly, I believe the Timberwolves defense is going to be a little bit too much, especially for everyone outside of Luka and Kyrie. And you have Jaden McDaniels on the perimeter, who's a dog. Anthony Edwards. You're gonna have the interior presence of Rudy Gobert. They're obviously not gonna stop Kyrie and Luka like 100%, but when it comes to the other players, I expect to see like guys like Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels. Obviously Cat's an all-star, but I expect him to show up a little bit more than, some of these other guys. And honestly, that's kind of what leads me to Timberwolves in 6 or 7. It's really going to come down to if the Mavericks win this series, they're going to need like PJ Washington to go off like he did last series. They're going to need Tim Hardaway Jr. to show up. If you don't got that this series, it's not happening at all. And I just trust the Timberwolves surrounding pieces. Like you mentioned, Naz Reid was incredible last series. I don't really know what the Mavericks' plan is for Naz Reid, Cat, and Gobert because it's just there's so much size. Not saying the Mavericks don't have size, but you got Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. I lean more towards the Timberwolves on that side. I could still see them exposing the Mavericks in that sense. So I gotta say, if I had to make a pick right now, I'd say Timberwolves in 7 and they win on at home. But it is closer than I think some people are letting on to believe.
I have Mavs in 6.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with the tried and trusted idea of playoff experience. Luka and Kyrie have more of that, even though it's not a lot more from Luka's side. Kyrie's definitely got that experience. And I like that you mentioned both Ant and Jaden McDaniels guarding the perimeter, because the reality is those are going to be the two main guys on Kyrie and Luka. And I'm not going to say that they're going to do bad jobs. I think that they're going to do their best they can. there's going to be a war on two fronts here. The first war is going to be fought on the perimeter, in the sense that can they neutralize one of Kyrie and Luka? Because when I look at it, Kyrie's going to give you a game. You're going to win a game because of Kyrie. I'm just going to say that. You're probably going to win a game because of Luka.
Maybe
That's
2.
2 games there. Maybe 2. Now you're trying to tell me, especially from what we saw last series, PJ Washington's kind of hot right now. I don't expect that's not real, but it's happening right now, if that makes sense. Like, those aren't real numbers, those aren't his real abilities, but he's shooting that hot right now. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford are playing outstanding front court basketball. Outstanding. And Jason Kidd's got them playing really good defensively. They've
Definitely
shut
an
down
underrated facet.
the Thunder's offense on multiple occasions. So, not to discredit the defense, the horrendous, scary defense that the Timberwolves can play. It's gonna depend on, can they neutralize Kyrie and Luka enough to win 4 games. On the flip side, can Gafford, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, to an extent, Tim Hardaway, can they limit Rudy Gobert and Cat? We saw in the Nugget series the pairing worked really well, but the Nuggets don't have multiple guards like that can drive and kind of make things difficult for those guys, where they can kind of like lure them off the paint. They had Jamal Murray, the Nuggets did, but that's kind of really it. And Jokic, it's not the same playing with Kyrie and Luka. They're going to do their best to split those guys up and kind of lure them away from the paint. If they can do that, it's going to be tough. I'm going to say Mavs in 6. I just have a feeling that, like, this is Luka and Kyrie's year. Like, they just seem to click so well. I just don't love... As far as the story is, I just don't see a team who's making the playoffs as the first time as, like, a team, like, collectively making it to the finals. Like, it just... I don't know. I don't think they also offer enough offensively to take down the which is funny considering they just beat the Nuggets in 7. I just don't think they offer enough offensively. Like, I think their defense can get them to the finals. I just don't know if their offense can, because it can be very formulaic at times. Whereas I think that the Mavs offense can get them to the finals. Their defense much improved, maybe the additional hump that we're going to see. But it's going to be a fun series. It's going to be the only fun series in the conference finals. Yeah. Because we're going to talk about what happened in the East. It wouldn't have mattered who came out of Knicks Pacers, but the Pacers ended up coming out. They just absolutely, I think they shot 60-something% from the field against the Knicks in Game 7. It was
75% in the first half, which was insane. Like, they could not miss at all.
Anyone who's listened or watched for the past couple weeks since the playoff starts, kudos to Halliburton. Best game he's played all playoffs. Without a doubt, the most aggressive and best I've seen him play off the bounce and the dribble. I've been very critical of him since the playoffs started. I thought he just, as someone who's an all-star, he just felt like he's very absent certain games.
Not very aggressive at times.
Game 7, he was him. He had that dog in him, and the entire team played that way. Everyone was taking shots. T.J. McConnell was hitting just unbelievable mid-range shots. It was insane. And the reality is the Knicks just didn't have enough healthy players anymore. This is probably the better matchup in the sense that if the Knicks had advanced to play the Celtics, they may have had 2 healthy players, and it would have been the Alex Burks and Miles McBride should, and we would all cried. But at least we may get a good 5 or 6 game series with the Pacers and Celtics. But the reality is, even as a Celtics fan, I feel like I'm being generous when I say Celtics in 5. Not to say that I'm not discounting the Pacers. The reality is they don't play defense. Like, they don't. And I think they can score to an extreme degree. But who in God's name are they going to have guard Tatum or Brown? I get it. Porzingis isn't out there. But Celtics in 5. Like, I don't. There's not much analysis on this one. I'm sorry. Like the reality is, if I wasn't concerned about Porzingis getting reps to build up for the finals, assuming we get there, I would just tell you to bench Porzingis for the entire first round. He's looking like he's gonna miss the first two games
it's
for
already
sure.
reported he'll miss the first game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's
He's
the first 2
he's
or
100%
3.
missing the first game per the injury report. I'd be shocked if he played the second game. If we're up 2-0, I'd be shocked if he played game 3. Now, if it's 2-1 going into game 4 and he's ready, sure, play him so we can get some reps. But
I will say this too, like I also agree Celtics in 5, maybe 6, because the Pacers can explode at any moment have a crazy offensive game, and it's like, okay, well, no matter how many shots are falling for the Celtics, if they shoot 75% from the field like they did against the Knicks, which, to be fair, against Boston's great defense, Boston has players, like actual players in the rotation. The Knicks did not towards the end of that series.
Not Alec Burks and Miles McBride.
Hey, shout out Miles McBride. He was a dog. And so Alec Burks as well, but it just, man, that Knicks team, I'm sorry.
Come on, man. Those guys should not be a part of your rotation in Game 7 of the playoffs. But you make a great point. We've seen this in the regular season. If the Pacers go on a tear in the first half, and it's like a 20-point spread between Pacers and Celtics, and the Celtics come out looking weak in the third quarter, Mazzulla's going to call game.
Yeah.
So I agree. There is a possibility it goes 6. That's stretching it, though.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
I will confidently give the Pacers 1 game because they are good enough offensively to win 1 game. We saw that in this Cavaliers series. We saw that in the Heat series. The Celtics are going to have an off shooting night. Every team has an off shooting night. Just got to hope your off shooting night's on the other team's best shooting night.
And without Porzingis as well, too, I think it clears up the front court a little bit for Siakam, so it'll be an easier matchup there. So I'm still gonna say Celtics in 5. Don't be surprised if it goes 6.
No, I would say anyone who's saying 5 hard, anything over that is disgraceful. This is like, the Pacers don't belong here. I'm sorry, that's just the reality of it. They don't, this is a weird, fraudulent run they've made, but they're still here. They had to win a Game 7 on the road. They had to win a Game 7 on the road. Everyone's going to have this narrative, oh, well, the Knicks would have won if they were fully healthy. The Pacers still shot 65%, so...
And that's the thing.
They were still making shots.
And that's the thing why I say full credit to them, because yes, everyone's going to say they only beat Milwaukee because of injuries. They only beat the Knicks because of injuries. And yes, in a vacuum, while that may be true, they still had to show up and play. We've seen so many teams play down to competition and lose. Agreed. So, got to give them some credit there.
They went down 2-0 and came back. Remember that.
Definitely.
It's huge. I love what Rick Carlisle's building out there in Indiana, but the reality is, they don't have a single defensive player that I am confident can shut down any of our players. Okoro in the Cavs series was doing work on Tatum. I don't see anyone like that on this Pacers team. And
I think Neesmith's their best defender, which is best perimeter defender, which is saying a lot. So
it's saying a lot. It's God, please. Let it just be a shootout of TJ McConnell and Peyton Pritchard. That's all basketball fans want.
I don't know what basketball fans you're talking about there, but...
It would be hilarious if they just let those two shoot it out, bro.
Hey, man, if you say so.
If the Pacers still had Daniel Tice, a 3-point contest between him and Luke Cornett. The funny thing is that Daniel Tice can actually shoot the 3.
So I guess the real question is, what are you doing when Neesmith drops 30 in Game 2 and it's 1-1?
Celtics fans are gonna burn Twitter.
it'll be the Heat series.
It's gonna happen, again. By the way. It's guaranteed gonna happen.
You did 100%. mention that the other day. That's why I'm waiting for it.
I saw it on Twitter. Someone said it. It's we're prepared for the Game 2 Neesmith game, right? 100% prepared.
There's always some sort of revenge.
Listen,
game.
I'll throw this little nugget in there. Neesmith is a much improved player since he's got
100%. He's a real
minutes this year. He's a decent two-way player. His shot's been better from the 3. He's actually the problem with Boston is he had high expectations, and he just couldn't get what's the word I'm
He's
thinking
just
for?
acclimated to his role better in
Consistent
Indiana.
minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The problem when these like already kind of filled out rosters with superstars draft players for like specific roles and not just best available. Not to say that Neesmith wasn't the best available. He wasn't, by the way. But the problem with that is then if they don't like pop at first, they don't really get an initial role, and then they're just kind of sitting there only playing a couple minutes here and there. And with young players, they need consistency. A lot of like lottery picks sometimes may struggle in their first year, and then they just need time to figure it out. That's what I'm kind of hoping we see with Scoot Henderson, is that he figures it out. We're kind of seeing it with Cade, or maybe seeing it with Jalen Green.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, the end of the season, April runs, they're always question marks, man. They're always, I don't want to say fraudulent, but question marks.
I hope we're seeing Jalen Green turn a corner, because if not, that pick looks bad.
Well, I mean, at least they got Brooklyn's picks for the next God knows how long. So, but
this is true. Speaking of Brooklyn, I have no segue for that.
Nice, good, nice, perfect Family Guy cutaway. But those are our picks for the conference finals matchups. Let us know your picks down in the comments section below, and who you think's gonna win each series and in how many games, and why you agree with my picks over Jacob's picks. But thank you for tuning in as always. What?
Is Jamar okay?
He's not, but he's not okay. But honestly, I don't think Knicks fans in general are okay, because that's just such a deflating way to see your team go. But
losing because you have no healthy players is I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've ever seen a team break down that bad.
Mm-hmm. And everyone's gonna blame Tom Thibodeau, but you know, who else was gonna play?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It's his fault in the sense that he played them 2 minutes during the regular season.
But even still, he had a rotation during the regular season. Like, it wasn't this bad.
But he played them too many minutes. But, like, OG tried to play. He couldn't run. It was, like, that's not him. Brunson fractured his hand. Like,
freak accident.
He was gassed throughout the entire series, but he fractured his hand. Randall got hurt in the regular season.
Early on, too,
Early on. I don't know if Mitchell Robinson played in Game 7. I can't recall.
No.
I mean, Bogdan got hurt in the playoffs. Like,
a lot of weird freak accidents, too. So it's like some of them were cumulative. Some of them just, you know, can't predict. It's sad, but we're veering off. We're veering off too much, though.
We are, but to make it to the finals and win a finals, you gotta have some luck on your side.
100%.
And this year, Adam Silver did not turn off injuries.
No,
you Adam Silver.
Next year, maybe the patch will come in.
Maybe. But my name is Jacob. I'm the long-lost son of NBA Celtics legend James Young. Please let us know how we did down in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Have a great rest of your day.